Did you bring the barf bags, XJ7? Good! Premium! 3 bags full this time, I'm afraid, XJ7. Get ready to purge and regurge when you hear this set of elucidated events. His name, Lionel Pronlin, 24. A young man coming to grips with the realities of the real world, soon to become besieged by the arbitrary and indefinite demands of a distant and indeterminate world, purportedly able to be forged by his actions alone. Location, Arlington Heights, Illinois, USA. Date, September 2010. Lionel's cell phone rang. He answered. That is where the ordinary ended and the grotesque began. Hello, Lionel. The voice began with purpose and then barreled on into a candid and sense-slamming explanation. This is Lionel Pronlin. Yes, I'm you, from the future. The year I'm calling from is 2042. Don't say anything yet. If you doubt me, I can tell you that you just graduated from university with a 3.72 GPA in mechanical engineering and physics. At this time, I remember having about $1,214 in my bank account, thinking back to a girl I was infatuated with in school named Honoré Redkin, with whom I shared a dinner or two. You know, simple dates, but little else. And I was contemplating getting a job at Red Lobster to provide a meager income I could exist from. Until finding work in the sciences somewhere around Chicago. The information wasn't startling to Lionel in the present, because it could have been faked by any of his friends, with the right amount of snoopiness and deduction. You certainly sound like me, whomever you are, Lionel told his purported future self. Give me more. I'm amused. What did I do to Brenda Mechanic in October of 3rd grade? Or don't you have the memory? The voice was prompt. You bit off part of her left ear. I've regretted it ever since. No one ever found out because she was afraid you would never talk to her again, or maybe get booted out of school. It wasn't so bad an injury, especially since she hit it with her hair ever since. How's that? You want me to tell you about how we fear the deformity on our left testicle as well? That convinced the present-day Lionel. No. Neither do I, the future Lionel said. Listen, the signal is being pushed through a space-time aberration we have created in the year 2042. It takes a lot of energy to keep it active and stable. All of our efforts have not allowed us to even get close to pushing through matter or even an opening for light or optics or anything else. Only certain radiation waves can pass, and they're passing from this space in 2042 into yours. We actually exist in the same location, only years apart. I know. Why? Why would this be occurring, right? Easy. There's a huge problem in the future that we feel we can solve by contacting the past. Yes, we don't have a time machine, but we do have time to be the machine for us. The problem is that a huge economic collapse has happened, and it has jettisoned the future I'm in into anarchy and political dissolution across the world. People are starving, dying, and being murdered by the billions in the name of survival and ideological opportunity unseen since the early 2020s. But never mind that. I need your help, and I'm calling on you with several thousand backers and scientific masterminds behind me. We've created this project built on my memories of what transpired in 2010 and onward. This is the cycle of events closing, man. You must play through this with me, as I did all those years before. Present-day Lionel thought a second and interjected. So what could I possibly do to solve a world-rending disaster in 2042? Future Lionel answered quickly. You will find that out in a few years, dude. What I'm calling you to do is simple. but it might seem devastating at the time. Believe me, we're going to make you a very rich man within a few years in order for you to facilitate a fortuitous outcome in the future. Here are your instructions. Take $1,000 from your account today and invest them into something called Bitcoin. It's an electronic form of money you can find on the internet. Around the time you buy it, a Bitcoin will probably cost about 10 cents. Buy $1,000 worth. And be very careful to guard your electronic wallet and encryption, etc. It will seem like tomfoolery in 2010, but you're going to be a multimillionaire within a decade. And then we can continue this conversation. Present-day Lionel was jarred into his full senses, replying, "Yeah, right, all my money on some bullshit. Is this a marketing scam? Some kind of Nigerian prince baloney? Bitcoin making anyone a million is like, the Cubs winning the World Series." The cell phone snapped back. "Oh, they will. And they'll do that before you're a millionaire, believe me. About the time you win at Life's Lottery, the Eagles will also win the Super Bowl. How's that for a prediction?" Yeah, I know. I wouldn't have believed it either. January 2018. Look, to prove I'm from the future, here are the next 3 scores of the Eagles football games. October 3rd, Eagles lose to Redskins 12-17. October 10th, Eagles win versus 49ers 27-24. October 17th, Eagles win versus Falcons 31-17. Now, their season will be 10-6, and they'll lose in the wild card to the Packers. If that won't convince you, I don't know what will. I remember investing after the close of the game on the 3rd, so good luck, and do it. We'll talk again in 2017. And the phone cut off. Lionel Prolin of 2010 merely sat shocked in his seat and looked to the calendar across the room. It was September 30th. He planned to wait and see how the game progressed on the weekend. True to form, the game did progress as said. Convinced, Lionel took out $1,000 the next day and invested in Bitcoin. And waited. He was curious what the future would bring him. He had no opportune moments to ask how his life was going to turn out, though. Would he find love, happiness, belonging, and all the trappings of a perfect life? Well, obviously, it did have a downside due to the economic collapse approaching in the 2040s, but that was a long way off. And so time bled from Lionel's life. He believed the call, and he indulged himself with working meager jobs and not trying very hard to do anything particular, since wealth would be laid bare in his hands without any effort. It was a carefree time for Lionel. Nothing was a dire consequence, and nothing was a worry, because everything was assured. He need merely feed his meager desires for food and a roof over his head, until prosperity granted to him by himself would sluice into his accounts. Freedom now, steak and wine later, he believed. And so the years went, and it was September 2017. Lionel was now 31 years old and enjoying being a slacker who idled away life with friends or reading up about investments and sciences on the internet. He was already a millionaire, but sat on his piles of Bitcoin cash, investing meager amounts every few months to bring greater returns. Until another call came in. Lionel was still in the same rented house, on the same street, in the same town. It was where he was expecting another call, and lo, there it was. He wasn't expecting his future self when he answered, but found delight to hear the future calling back as promised. "Lionel," the future prawn spoke, "by now you have tens of millions of possible dollars in Bitcoin. Well done. Take 90% of that wealth and buy up platinum. Get as much raw platinum as possible in your possession." Lionel of 2017 eagerly answered, "Platinum is going to jump in price next, huh?" The future snapped. "No, you're going to bury it in a deep hole in the backyard." This wasn't expected. What? Screamed the present-day Lionel down a scratchy line of cellular communication to his distant self. Bury platinum? That's idiotic. I amassed wealth beyond compare just to... His future self wasn't having it. Shut up, you moron. Time will carry it to us in the future to solve the dilemma of the economy. All precious metals were contaminated by nuclear waste, like in that old James Bond movie. Only your treasure can solve this by providing some precious commodity and putting my scientific group in control of world affairs. Do as I tell you. You still have millions to play with. And 2017's Lionel felt indebted regardless and agreed to submerge tens of millions of dollars worth of platinum in his backyard. It took no real convincing. Specific depth and directions were given to allow people in 2042 direct and precise access to the gift from 2017. Along with the platinum, Lionel was also told to document everything they had done and waterproof it, placing printed copies in between layers of platinum bars. The future coalition of scientists were aware that things might change in the past or the future, and that they themselves might even forget whatever they had told Lionel in the past. With such documents, they could understand what they had done and why, just as a precaution. And so it was done. Lionel was told to wait. He'd get another call in a year or so, and was told to remain there in that house, to buy it, and keep it, and make it his own from then onward. A simple effort. Lionel was now sloppy rich for a man that hadn't done anything other than take a call and save some money. And so he waited. September 2018 rolled around, and lo, another call from the future. Lionel, it's me from the future yet again. The person of 2042 greeted. Thank you for all you've done. However, we need more. We have another problem now. Present-day Lionel was confused. Another problem? What happened? Future Lionel elucidated. Something with the platinum went wrong-ish. Well, we have received it in your detailed account. There's a different set of affairs now affecting humanity. The platinum is stabilizing the economy, but a madman has been able to get power and become a dictatorial despot over humanity. We're suffering under a one-world government and a pogrom of unseen expanse. They're killing 90% of the world's population on a fatuous ideological whim, and word is out that they want to exterminate 99.99% of humanity before creating a utopia for the last few thousand survivors. Hand-chosen by genetics and intelligence, naturally. However, the idea and the algorithms were faulty, and we can only hope to force the hand of history by getting hold of the original hardware and software used to create the documents leading to this catastrophe. Only you can help us, Lionel. Present-day Lionel quickly responded. What can I do? His future self spoke quickly, as if any moment a spy or interloper from the government could overhear. Bury a 1983 Kenmore microwave oven, an Apple II computer, an IBM 1010X, and the complete record collections of the Beatles, the Ray Conniff singers, and Ray Charles singers, and a copy of issue number 32 of Popular Computing. Bury it 50 feet due south of the last stash, 20 feet deep, and make sure it's waterproof. The request was fairly distrait, causing present-day Lionel to query the importance of these items. All the computers made sense, but the record collections... Future Lionel related how that dictator destroyed all those record collections out of spite and loathing, and that regaining those recordings would help culture repair itself and create theme music from which to combat the despot. Sure, it was weird, but whatever, thought Lionel in 2018. Before he could ask anything more pertinent about himself or any future investment strategies, the call was ended. A few weeks later, the requested items were buried, along with detailed accounts written out once more by Lionel Pronlin of 2018. And time once more inched by, and it was September 2019. And lo, another call from the future, like clockwork. Lionel had fashioned that house very nicely, adding 2 stories above the mirrored bungalow in Arlington Heights. He had purchased the neighbors' houses and lots around and behind him and leveled them to possibly become grounds for the future laboratory and science group headquarters he would surely found someday. Although he did nothing but sit around enjoying his money and all the nonsense it brings. A future Lionel began the call. It's me again, myself. Thank you for the computers and the records. They worked, but unfortunately we're now in another predicament the displacement of these items has caused. We can't tell you how or why, but that shift in the past caused this. This future we inhabit is subject to a collapsing magnetic field of the entire planet. The radiations of the sun are decimating the Earth, and large electrical storms and tornado events are ripping the environment asunder. Shortly, there'll be possible extinction-level events due to radiation blanketing everything. We have possibly weeks to live, maybe years if extremely lucky. Lionel in 2019 knew only one response, though it was fraught with horror. What do I need to do to save the future? The future Lionel was frantic. Americium, element 98, and one of the rarest Earth elements. It's been depleted long before 2042, and it's the only solution to resetting the magnetic fields. We need you to purchase 1 whole kilo of it and to bury it exactly 50 feet northwest of the computers. Only that amount of precious americium can cure the world of what mankind has set asunder through scientific oafishness and myopic vision. Act quickly. We must have it if humanity is to survive beyond 2050 on the face of this earth. If anything living is to survive this century, I'll be in touch again. And the call ended. Lionel sat in complete terror for an hour, unsure what could have happened. If he refuses to act, it could spell the death of the entire ecosphere. If he acts, it might compromise the future even further. Finally, he did what he had to. Within a few months, he amassed a kilo of americium and buried it with documentation, and then waited for the next call. 2019 passed by, as did 2020, and 2021, and 2022, and 2023, and 2024. And for all those years, no one called. Lionel Prawnlin merely lived in the cold sweat of unavoidable dread. He was in control of the future, but unsure of how to progress in order to save the future. Perhaps he should dig up the platinum and computers and americium and throw them away. But what if he does? Then what? He would never call himself, and the future could be disastrous. Like a jilted girlfriend waiting by the phone after a rollicking set of interactions with an entrancing paramour, Lionel waited and waited. Emotions growing cold, mind growing numb and suspicious, antagonistic to everything and everyone around him. 2025, 2026, 2027. He merely waited. What was he supposed to do? If he acts, will the future become better or a disaster? He wanted to know. He had to know. Lionel waited some more, unsure what to do with himself, waiting for the future to arrive.
Like and subscribe before I die. And ring the little bell or you will surely go to hell.
Oh, we're telling spooky stories. This is not a spooky story. Oh, there's no way on the couch I can
it
say.
depends how you look at it. It is kind of spooky.
I guess so.
Wait, that's it? That's the end of the story?
That is a